let's be honest, we've all been in situations when we've been coaching somebody and we start coaching them and we look up and there's some cue, it's not connecting. So if we haven't picked up on that cue properly though, we repeat ourselves in exactly the same way. And then we look up, and maybe they're still not getting it, or they're doing it completely differently to what our intention was. And so we might repeat it even for a third time. This Friday Fuel series is all around transformational coaching. We're going to share with you 5 steps in our transformational coaching process, which has proven to get results quickly, effectively, and with ease. With our session today, it's all around discover. So Sarah and I are really, really passionate about making sure that when we're coaching somebody, we're coaching to bring out the best in them. To enable us to do that, we can't coach people how we want to be coached. We coach them on what their needs are. So Sarah, do you want to just take us through your thinking around, and then I'll build on from there?
Sounds fantastic. So what we mean by the coaching piece is really around observations for learning. And that's learning as a coach so that we can ensure whatever it is that we're imparting is going to be the absolutely the best fit for the person who's on the receiving end. So what we need to understand about the person that they're working with is their personality style. So who are they? What makes them tick? What are their triggers perhaps? And what are some of the sensitive points that we may encounter during our conversations with them? You know, what's their workload like and what's their capacity to learn? So when we're talking about workload and capacity, we mean things like just because we have something scheduled in our diary as the coach doesn't mean it's actually a really good time for that person to actually receive some coaching. So when is a good time for the coachee to actually have the time put aside so the coaching experience is as meaningful as it can possibly be for that person? And when we're also thinking about the observation piece, what's their mindset at the time? Are they in a growth mindset or are they in a fixed mindset? And understanding how we're going to tailor our conversation so that we can shift them from that space of being fixed into a space where they're actually open and they're willing to hear information that's being shared with them. And along that observation piece, we're also wanting to know what their motivators are, because these are going to be really impactful points during our conversation where we can spark some sensitivity and some enthusiasm and really get them engaged in the process. Some other observations we're looking out for are what are the things that are frustrating for the person? And also, what are the goals that are sitting there for the person? And are there any frustrations that are impacting those people on actually achieving their goals? And last but certainly not least, what's their style of working and style of learning? How we go about coaching someone is going to change depending on every person that we're interacting with. So what their style looks like and what their learning style and their speed looks like is going to be different for every single person as we move through that coaching process.
So step 1 in the transformational coaching process from Infinitus is looking at making sure we really understand that person. And when we have all of this knowledge, what's fantastic is we can then say, well, how do I then adapt my style to enable me to get the best out of them? Because we all know that coaching is not telling. Coaching isn't just seeing it from our perspective, it's getting them to come up with the ideas. And we know that as effective coaches, our 2 most important pieces is understanding the person and also giving them enough space and being able to ask them a question so that they can actually think and give us the answer. Without knowing all of this information, we don't have a strong foundation to work from. The other things that I'd like to add to what Sarah's just said is around learning styles. So I love the model by Flemings and Mills, and it's the VARK model. You may have heard about it, and it's one that I feel in these times is even more important to touch base on, because otherwise what we do is we end up coaching people how we like to be coached, not what they need from us. So the VARK model is around how do we actually communicate and what resources do we utilize to enable us to get the best out of them. So the VARK stands for visual, audio, reading, and kinesthetic. So from a visual perspective, if somebody's got a visual sort of learning style, what they're looking for from you then is they're going to respond well to videos. They're going to respond well to pictures and flow charts and mind maps and things like that, any visual representation. And audio, and this is one of my favorites, is because so often people say, oh, you've got this person, you know, they're going to be a bit difficult in your coaching session because they're always asking questions. They always want to know why. Well, chances are they're not being difficult. They just have an audio learning style. The next one is R for reading. So they love to read those notes. So yes, if you do give people notes, only one set of people with learning style will like to read it, but at least they've got that as a reference. And the last one is they're the doers. They're the kinesthetic learners that just want to jump in and have practical exercises. They love the role play. So for me, learning styles is really important, because what that enables us to do is look at what do we want to do, take everything that Sarah's just said in regard to the person and say, okay, how do I then base it on learning styles? And the other one I just want to finish with is learning speed. So do they learn slowly and through a lot more repetition, or are they jumping in there and you need less repetition? So that is step one in the transformational coaching model. Over the next 3 weeks, Sarah and I are going to take you through the other steps and explore and make sure that we give you hacks that you can implement into your day immediately. Have an amazing week, and we look forward to speaking to you next week.